G'day everyone, Franco from Fresh Air Carpet Cleaning here again, and today we're going to have a little bit of a change in focus. Rather than talking about carpets, we're going to be talking about those dreaded tiles. And not so much the tiles, but the grout, which gives everybody so much grief. So sit with us and let's have a little chat about that. Here we are again. It's Mr. Michael Worthington, ready to have another little quick chat about things of cleaning nature.
I know, and when you said it was tiles and grouts, I'm going, oh, there goes a job for the weekend.
It's the thing that everybody hates to do, and with really good reason, because it's just such a pain.
It is, and then you're worried that if you're going to scrub the thing too hard, you're going to gouge out the grout out of the thing.
Yeah, or even damage your tiles, which I have seen done as well.
Yes, now I've seen that to tiles, I don't know about you, but the grouting's been in, but after cleaning, like the tiles around the outside are starting to get like the polish or whatever it is on top is gone.
There's a glaze on there, and it will start to wear through eventually. I mean, they're just like running your vacuum cleaner across the top of it, trafficking, etc., etc. Even though it may be a hard surface, it's going to be prone to wear at some point in its life.
Yes.
Yep.
And the other thing I've found, and I suppose I'm thinking back to when I was single, not so much now because Kathy's really good, my wife's really good at this, but I used to mop the floors. And the tiles were nice, but the grout got worse and worse.
Yeah, because all you're doing is you're mopping around dirty water. You think about it, you have your mop and your bucket and you throw detergent in them, which is fantastic, breaking down oils, etc., and you think it's doing a great job. Yeah. But as soon as your mops come out of that bucket and hit that floor, what's it doing? Swilling that dirt around, and it's contaminated. Then you drip it back in the bucket and give it a shake around, and you've contaminated that water. And then from then on, all you're doing is spreading dirty water around. Unless you physically get down on there and rinse it off somehow, which no one has got the facility to do, and they've not got the right machinery, it's just going to build up over time, layer upon layer upon layer, until you get this beautiful dark grout line.
I must admit, I've seen some, and I've wondered about the hygiene of grout. Yeah. Because it gets quite grotty, and I'm thinking, well, it's not getting, unless you get down there with your little toothbrush, which I'm not.
Some people do,
but I'm not prone to do. I mean, what is actually happening? Is there bacteria actually in that grout?
Look, you'd have to be pretty dirty for it, but there is that potential for it there. When you've got an organic source, because we're going to have detergents there, but you're also going to have foods and oils and all sorts of things mixed up in there. If you've got pets to throw into the mix as well, you can always smell, even with a fully tiled house, it smells of pet. Why? Because it's ingrained into the tile and grout. Grout is porous. It's going to go into it. Your tiles aren't, but even your tiles, you'll find there's lots of little ridges on there.
Yes,
and then those ridges build up with the same amount of stuff. So quite often we'll come in and clean tile and grout, and the tile literally changes colour.
And the tile actually comes back to life.
Yeah, it's just amazing. If they don't look that dirty, they just look as if they get a really nice bright sheen to them again. Yeah. But when they have got that fairly rich type of structure of the tile, and you clean that off, it's literally day and night. You can see the difference between one side or the other to the tile that you have cleaned or not cleaned.
So what's the difference between, I mean, because there's a lot of products on the market. There's these steam mops, I should say, get advertised now. And they're saying, oh, you can do it with this, and it steams it, and it's triangled and go into the corner.
And then have fun using that. Look, there's no perfect system, okay? And that's the problem. When it comes to maintenance, there is no perfect system. I mean, once you can get it back to a good base level after we've come in clean, for instance, there are things you can do differently. Right. Okay, because the biggest culprit in the whole cleaning scenario is the detergent itself. Because the detergent itself, remember we might have discussed the term before, hygroscopic. Yeah. And hygroscopic means that it will draw moisture out of the atmosphere. It stays sticky. So it's sitting on the floor staying sticky, what's it doing? It's attracting dirt to itself. Okay, so those detergents that we use are just next to useless. They give it a very short-term benefit, but at the long term, very much a drawback. So rather than doing that, get the tiles cleaned, and then you can bring out your microfiber mops. Because all you need with those is a bit of water. Spray a mist of water over the top of it, give it a bit of run over with your microfiber mop, and you'll have a better long-term result.
Now, why do I pick up a mist Of water.
A mist. We don't flood it because then all you're doing is, once again, you've got contaminated water, you're swilling around all over the place. So it defeats the purpose. That mist, the microfiber will pull up and hold into the pad itself.
Right.
And then you're leaving the floor dry. When you've actually finished, it's dry. So you're not leaving stuff behind.
So there's less potential of re-spreading dirt
Correct.
around.
So it's a little bit more labour intensive, but it will give you a better result in the long term.
So what's the difference between your tile cleaning, silly question here, than me just buying the steam mop off the television?
Oh my God, it's chalk and cheese. Honestly, with our system, what we have is an actual high pressure water blast, essentially.
Okay.
So we use detergents to break down all the stuff that's there. Okay, and we have to get fairly aggressive with our chemistry because there's going to be all sorts of stuff sitting in there.
Yeah.
But we need to break that down, and then we come in with hot water and high pressure. So we're basically high pressure blasting your tile. But rather than doing a high pressure blasting, you've got water splash around all over the place.
This imagery.
I was looking at your eyes. Yeah, pretty much. But these are actually done within an enclosed head that is under vacuum. So all that water that goes into your floor, rips the dirt out, is then taken back out to our trucks and sat in a wastewater tank out there for disposal of wherever we need to go to.
So it's just kind of a cycle. So as soon as it's hitting and breaking it down, it's
so it's just all that it's leaving is a tiny amount of fresh water behind on the tile, which once we finished up, we just give it a quick mop with just a towel. And so it's dry. By the time we walk out that front door, the tile is perfectly dry. The grout might still be a bit wet because it's porous, but that's fine. You can walk over it quite happily.
For someone's concerned, you say high pressure, and I get it's enclosed. What about the grout? What if someone says, well, my grading's a bit old, it might be a bit fragile, will it break out under this?
That is an issue, and it's not so much the age that is the problem. There's a lot of houses, especially when we had here in Perth that building boom.
Oh, yes.
And they were just slapping things together, and they didn't mix the grout properly. If they put too much water into it, it just goes soft. But we pre-inspect before we start. So there are any little surprises there, then we cop that before we start, and then we can actually go, look, we're going to have to adjust here and there. This is the result we can expect.
Right, okay.
But yeah, generally speaking, it's most of the time, in fact, especially with the older stuff, man, you can pound it and it just doesn't move. It's really hard. Yeah.
It's rock solid.
Yeah.
Do you ever get the stages, Franco, when you've done the clean, but the grading just needs to be redone? It's just...
Oh, yeah. Look, there are cases, like especially I said, with the soft grout, and particularly in shower recesses, where they've always been exposed to a lot of moisture as well. And a lot of times the things that people are using to clean them can be quite nasty. They might be acid-based, and the acids, while the acids make it look clean, they're not actually cleaning, they're etching, which is two different things. They're actually ripping off a couple of micron thick layer of the grout on top. So you're getting rid of the dirty stuff and exposing the clean grout underneath. But the problem with that is that it's acting on the cementitious part of the grout, which is alkaline. The acid strips that out, and then it leaves behind the little sandy bits that you find in the grout. So the grout gets rougher and rougher, picks up more and more dirt, but then it's also softening the grout. So over time, it does get nasty. We do also use acids sometimes for corrective purposes. Sometimes you get some grouts that are just, they're too far gone. And we'll use an acid on there to try and to give that etching effect, but we don't use that as a general cleaner. It's a specialist product only.
Now, one thing you mentioned earlier, and I'm sure there's a few people with pets, and pets have accidents. And
Yes,
I've always thought, pets and tiles, and it gets the urine stuff gets into this grading, and look, it does start to smell, and you have real trouble getting the thing out. You think it's clean, but it still smells.
Yep.
How do you tackle that urine smell from pets? I'm sure you've come across it.
We have some specialist chemicals, once again, that they're not so much available to the general public.
Probably for good reason.
Probably for good reason, exactly. But yeah, there are things that are going to stain grout or they're going to affect it in that regard. So we need something that can penetrate through into there so that we can attack it and get that freshness back into your place again, because it can be a rather nasty kind of smell.
And I suppose another thing that comes up, because people say, well, I understand using water, using high pressure, but I've got tiles that butt up to carpet. And I've seen this quite often with the transition between the two. How does your system tackle that? Because that might be a concern for some people saying, well, I'm not too sure because I've got half carpet, half tile.
Most houses have got carpet and tile. So we have an actual detailing edging tool that we use for that sort of thing. So anywhere we come up against like a skirting board or walls or cupboards or carpets, we use that edging tool so that we can actually keep the moisture away from where it doesn't need to be.
So you have actually thought, I was just thinking.
Oh yeah.
No, that was going to be my next thing, because I suppose, you know, a lot of people have got the kitchen cabinets and they just sit them on top of normally they're tile, and they'll drop the kitchen cabinets on top. And of course moisture does or can penetrate, they're not sealed properly.
Right. Exactly, yeah. The same thing with skirting boards as well. A lot of people are using MDF, and unfortunately a lot of builders have been cheaping out and not using the proper MDFs that are meant to be sealed. And then of course, I'm
shocked.
Yes, any sort of moisture gets anywhere near it and they swell. We've been caught out a couple of times like that, but I mean, 9 times out of 10, you'll see that before we even get there, because just mopping will affect them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can actually see the damage. So I suppose the question comes that you've been in and cleaned it, and then afterwards you can do this mist with the microfibers. But there's, and I have heard, and I don't know it properly, but there are people advertise and say you can buy this stuff and you can paint it on your grout and it'll keep it clean. And, well, what's that all about?
Okay, so there are some epoxy resins that you can get. So if your grout's really that far gone, or you just want a bit of a change of colour, okay, because sometimes you'll see that, you know, people have had the really light coloured grout and it's driven them nuts, so we can put an epoxy resin, which is basically like a paint, if you want to put it that way. Okay, and that's applied over the actual grout itself, and then you get a surface which is wipe cleanable. Okay, and normally, if you've got a good quality product, it'll last 10 to 15 years before it needs to be redone.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's no point in buying the old El Cheapo out of your hardware store, because a lot of times they'll give you a couple of years of okay kind of performance, and then they just start to degrade and fall out, and they look just as bad, if not worse, than when you started. So pay the money, get the right stuff at the right price, and then you're set for quite a few years to come yet.
And when you guys do this for people, is it a tedious job? I've got pictures of like knee pads and a brush.
When it comes to the actual, applying the epoxy, that's exactly what happens. We actually put it on with what looks very much like a toothbrush.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay, so we've got to actually work it into the grout. We have to actually do an acid wash over the grout first to make sure that it's etched out properly, to give it like a key for it to grip into.
Oh, like so it adhere?
So it adheres properly, otherwise it'll fall out. Wow. But then we put in on a couple of coats, and then we have to basically buff the floor to take it off the tile, because it won't attach to the tile, because the tile's non-porous. Okay, so then we just buff it off, dry it off, and job's done. But it does take quite some time. It's not a quick and easy job.
Are all tiles non-porous?
Pretty much, unless we're talking about your stone tiles or terracotta tiles. But if you're talking about your standard ceramic tiles, vitrified ceramics, they're going to be
they're
basically,
fine.
yeah. And there's no point. I know a lot of people try to sell sealers for them. Why? They don't actually absorb anything. You'll get those ridges that'll hold dirt in them, but they wipe clean.
That's a clean, yeah.
So they're not an issue. The grout is what is creating the issue. With your terracotta tiles or even your porcelain tiles, and your natural stones, yes, they are porous, and yes, they do require a sealer to get the best performance out of them, because they will stain. They're porous. Stuff can get in. So people say, oh, you know, I've got porcelain tile, I can throw my wine on it, and it won't be a problem. Guess what? It is. You can still stain those sorts, especially your polished porcelains, they will actually stain quite significantly.
Wow, so people, because that could, you just said that about, I mean, stone, I kind of go, you could stain it, because I've seen concrete stain and things like that. But the polished porcelain, I must admit, I actually thought myself, no, it's porcelain, it's really hard, it's got a nice shine.
Okay, so it's not a vitrified porcelain, it's a polished porcelain. They're two very, very different things. Your vitrified porcelains is what you find in your toilets, and they're fine. Fine. Nothing's going to absorb into that, fortunately, otherwise they wouldn't make a very good toilet. But your polished porcelains, what's happened is you've got your standard porcelain biscuit, and they actually polish it, but in doing that, they're cutting through that top surface. And there is that little bit of porosity in the back of the biscuit, and it opens up all these little micro holes, or micro pores, if you want to put it that way, which will accept moisture that will drive into it. So then if you have that, you've got the capacity to have a stain.
Now, here's the question then. I do have that, and I have spilt a red wine and gone, oh my goodness. Can you help?
Yes, we can. So there are quite a few stains that we can get out of those sorts of scenarios, and quite effectively. So don't be too concerned if you do see it. There are means to get rid of it.
So you've got because I know with carpets, you're extremely good at doing that. And even if you get to a stage with carpet, you've actually got the technology to even recolour.
Yep.
If you've had to take the colour out to get everything out.
It's one thing I can't do with tiles. I can't recolour.
No, I'm sure.
I can recolour the grout by the epoxy resins, but I can't actually do anything with the tiles.
No, because it's a natural.
Correct.
Natural product. But you can get the actual stain out. Have you ever come across any situations where you've gone, how did this happen? Or, my goodness, this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Because we all love these horror stories.
I've seen a few of those, but I do remember one particular one that was in Bentley, and it was absolutely trashed. Thank God there were no carpets in that house. Oh, sorry, there was one room of carpet, and that looked pretty messy, and we had to deal with that as well. But the actual tiles themselves, in the kitchen in particular, I couldn't believe how bad they were. But we managed to get that sorted out, and the property manager came along and sorted it afterwards, and they couldn't believe that they were the same tile. They were just so night and day. Actually had another one that I remember that was doing it for a private customer. Now, she was using one of these products that a cleaner and polish in one.
Yeah.
And so she was building up this layer and layer upon layer of this polish over a normal tile, a normal ceramic tile. Oh my God, that was a nightmare to get off. It took a fair bit of work, but once again, the difference between before and after, she couldn't remember what her original colour was. And when she saw it was, oh my God, is that how it's supposed to look? So she was killing it with kindness. She thought she was doing the right thing by putting this polish on it to make it look nice and shiny, but it was just getting darker and darker and darker, and the grout was just looking particularly nasty.
You go into some nasty places, and I was in the building industry before, and we went to some pretty nasty places. One thing I found was common on tiles, not common, but it does occur, is mould.
Yes.
Now, everyone's got a drama with mould.
Absolutely, and mould is an issue. By hitting it with a bit of the old bleach, guess what? You're not getting rid of it, you've disguised it temporarily. Because most people, you ask them, if they keep on using those sorts of mould killers,
yes,
they say it keeps on coming back, but worse than before. Yes, because there's the roots, the hyphae are going into the actual grout. You're getting to the top of it. So you need a product to be able to go right into the grout to be able to knock it off. But the bleach, all it's doing is bleaching it to make it look as if it's gone. The other problem with it is it actually becomes a food source for the mould itself, which is why it comes back worse than it does before.
So the bleach becomes a food source?
Absolutely, it aids and abets it. So it's doing you absolutely no favours by putting bleach onto a mould.
What about the old wives, and my mum would say, put a bit of vinegar in a spray bottle?
It does work. It'll kill the mould if you had the ratio right. Okay. Yeah. So mould's very, very funny like that, but if it's too weak, it won't suck it in. If it's too strong, it won't take it in. But if it's just the right level of strength, it will actually draw into it, and it actually keeps on sucking in. It keeps on sucking in to the point where it explodes, and then you rid of it. But you still have a discoloration there. Okay, so there are other products, once again, that we use to be able to try and deal with that. Now, the one kicker with that is if you've got silicone, ain't no way we're getting that out of there. The only way you're going to get mould out of behind the silicone itself is to strip it all out, start again.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a big job.
So if someone's done, and I'm thinking like kitchens, bathrooms, a lot of it is siliconed.
That's right.
To get that seal.
Yep. So if you've got mould in behind there, you've got an issue, and we can't clean it because we can't access it.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's to strip it out.
Yeah.
And then you have to treat the mould and then replace it.
Yep. And then put the silicone back in again.
Are there any types of mould that are more? You hear stories like black mould, and these are the deadly. They're going to knock your house off and knock you off as well. And
look, there's so many different types of moulds around the place, but the one that we commonly see, like that black mould, if you want to put it that way, that you're talking about, the Aspergillus niger, I think is the actual name of it, is the one that can cause issues. But it's only if it's airborne. If it's in behind the silicone, it's not going to be such a great issue. But if it's on your walls and all over your paints and all over your grouts, then it can be an issue for someone who has a respiratory problem.
Right. Okay. So if someone just want their tiles clean, or they've got a mould issue, so when it comes to mould, do you kind of have to inspect it first to see what it is, or you kind of already preset?
No, look, we need to go in and have a look to see. I mean, sometimes it could be there's an issue behind the mould, and no amount of cleaning is going to fix the issue. Until you've got the issue fixed, you've got to sort of put the brakes on the cleaning side of it, get that sorted out, and then worry about the rest of it.
I do like is your process. You very much investigate first. Like
Yeah.
you're not just, oh, you've got that, I'll clean it. Look, it looks pretty, and
Yep.
go away, and it comes back in 6 months, and go, oh, we're back again.
That's a good way to make money, I guess. But it's not the way I like to work.
No, it's not the
People
way
want
you
to have
work.
value for their money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're paying you for a service, and yes, while I'm, might make it look pretty, if it comes back again, it's another problem in another few months. Have I done my job correctly? I don't think I have. So I wouldn't want to put my name to a job like that.
God, so someone now with tiles, they're going, I can't remember the original colour. Or they want to get the grout and go, let's get the whole job done. Or maybe they're starting to go, oh, we've got a bit of a mould issue happening, let's get it fixed. What's the best way of contacting you, Franco?
Okay, so you can give us a call on the office line, which is 9493 3880, or there's info@facc.com.au. Hit us up on our website, the www.facc.com.au, the Fresh Air Carpet Cleaning page as well on Facebook. Whichever way you like, there's a contact point there that will get you through to us.